And they brought in Gary Yourofsky, who is a vegan activist. Highly recommend any vegan or non-vegan who's listening to watch it. It's a really good speech. And when I heard it, it definitely got my attention because it was something I never heard in my life. Because he talked on topics about health, nutrition, animal ethics, and medical reasons why you should go vegan. And I never really took the time to think about the ethical issues when it came down to animals and what they actually went through when it came to consuming meat. Oats are bad. I'm like, are you serious? This is getting crazy. But going back to my story, with me, when he talked about these issues, again, I never thought about it. And I was like, you know what? It can't hurt to try it out. Eating more vegetables, eating more fruits, eating things that's more whole food, plant-based.
Welcome to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. Today we have vegan coach and 3-time pro bodybuilder and author Korin Sutton joining the show. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? There is definitely something keeping me from my happiness and accomplishing my goals. I need to take stock of my depression and consistent negative self-talk. Therapy helped me realize that I was deserving of happiness. That's why this podcast is called I Choose Health. It was about me choosing happiness, and I wanted to share that with you. That's why I wanted to and have partnered with BetterHelp as a sponsor to share the gift of therapy with you. Over 4 million people have used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. People spend hours in the gym every week, so why not give your mind the same kind of attention? Starting therapy can be hard. The right therapist for you may not be in your area, and some people find the face-to-face interaction of therapy uncomfortable. With BetterHelp, you can have your therapy sessions as a phone call, as a video chat, or even via messaging if you prefer that. Whatever is the most comfortable version of therapy for you. BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network, which gives you access to a wider range of expertise that may be available in your area. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you'll get matched with your therapist, in most cases within 48 hours or less. You'll be able to schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. If the therapist you're first matched with doesn't feel like the right fit, which can be common when starting therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. If you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/iChooseHealth for 10% off your first month with a licensed therapist. What is up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. I know that you guys have been enjoying this series of interviews we've been doing recently, particularly going into what we call vegan myth busting, speaking to many within this field, within this work. We spoke to Justin Strickland, Fueled by Plants, 2 weeks ago. And then we spoke with Robert Cheek last week, who is the author of the bestseller, The Plant-Based Athlete. And, he gave his experience as to why he was vegan and the work that he's doing now. And, been really impacted. Everyone that I have on the podcast, they've all impacted me in a significant way with the work that they're doing. And, it's also inspired me to really get out there and try to, raise awareness and do that work as well. So today we have someone who's also another legend in this game, within this work, within this field. And, what he's contributed so far has been really significant. He continues to really impact not just the vegan community, but, everyone that has seen his content on the whole and has been around him, and everything he's done to this point have really been positively impacted by him. So today we have the master fitness trainer, health coach, and he's also a 3-time vegan bodybuilder, author, and speaker, and he's also a vegan chef. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome Korin Sutton to the show. How are you doing, Korin?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Now, I want you to kind of take us back and, tell us where you're from, your experience growing up. Just, take us back there.
Well, I was born in Bronx, New York. And, when it comes to growing up, average kid, went to school, was always active into sports, lived mostly, the regular American lifestyle, or the sad diet, you can say. And was very big into eating meat. I mean, but even though when I was growing up and everything, I always try to eat somewhat healthy of if that makes sense. Like I always remembered like always eating like lean chicken and broccoli and having your case of vegetables and rice and grains and beans and things like that. Just pretty standard, pretty standard American life. Read tons of health and fitness magazines back in the days, just trying to achieve a great result, great aesthetics and health.
Yep. And I know I see that you're an 8-year, U.S. military vet. What led you to the military, and what did you learn there that influenced what you're doing now?
I mean, what enticed me to go into the military is basically I had family members that also served. My grandfather served in the United States Navy. My dad served in the United States Army. So with me, I was always kind of intrigued with it. And I'm going to say there's a lot of influence. Like I guess you could say not just from family, but I love G.I. Joes growing up, playing with those things. Like, I don't know what attracted to me to those particular toys and cartoons, but I was definitely attracted to that. Also during high school, I mean, I did marching band as well, but going like while I was in high school, and what got me out of marching band was there was something called ROTC. So it's like a junior, I don't even know the acronyms, but it's like Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps or something like that. But it's like a mini version of like boot camp, you can say, but like a lot less intense and more fun. They make it more fun. And, I guess being in the JROTC, and my school actually had the Navy version of it, because like different schools have different versions, like the Army, Marine, and they would do like rifle challenges, marching challenges, like physical training challenges, and you just go against different schools as whatever branch you represented. So mine was more Navy like, and it was pretty cool. Like I thought it was dope because I know it was something that I always wanted to do, especially all the things I've learned in that, because they showed you I mean, even though it was like fun and it was like military fun, they did implement a lot of real life training, like land navigation, how to use a map, how to use compass, MREs, even shooting, how to shoot a gun. They would have, I don't know what type of gun they had. It was like a small like pellet or something like that. But when it comes to wing gauges and how to aim and everything, it was very like real, So for me, I really loved that part. And I think that was the motivator that made me actually go into the military overall. And obviously, like, if you're a junior or a senior, they have recruiters walking in. Like, that's the first place they go to, because they already know, like, these guys are they're primed up to go to the military. I mean, there's no reason why you're in the junior ROTC program if you don't have any interest going into it. So, that was one of the things. And I remember, like, there was a little bit, you could say, because of the 9/11 incident. Like, I felt like I wanted to help and fight for my country. But again, a lot of it influenced everything that I did, kind of influenced that decision. And I guess, when it came down to picking the branch, what made me go into the Marine Corps first was mostly when I had interviews with different recruiters, no one really enticed me except the Marine Corps, because they were very transparent. They were just real, and they didn't really talk any shit. They were just straight, very professional. They were just like, hey, you could pick any branch you want, but they said they were just like, we are the hardest. We're the smallest branch in the military, but we're the strongest branch. And their motto is, the few, the proud, the Marines. And they say the reason is because not everyone can be one. And they're like, when it comes to other branches, it's a little bit easier, less intense. But check it out, see which one that really resonates to you. And when they say it, when someone says it like that, it's almost like we're an exclusive club, but they weren't saying like, we need you. They were like, it was more like it's a challenge to work with us, and you have to go through our NDOC to see if you even is worthy to become a Marine. Everyone else was like very needy. And this is just my experience, I'm just explaining my experience. I'm not saying like, kind of, there could be other military guys listening, that's bullshit, but this is my experience, you know what I'm saying? And when I talked to the Army, they were just like, who did you talk to? They were more interested in who I talked to. And then they were just talking shit about Marines. Like, yeah, they're just a bunch of jarheads. They're stupid. You're just going to go to war. And the Navy was, just, they really didn't sell me. It was just like, the guy was just like so dead and unmotivated. Like, if you're like a salesperson, you should be excited about your job. Maybe it was just a bad day for him, but like, he was just not motivated. And then I remember going to the Air Force, to Coast Guard. There was no one there in the office. like I was like, man, where the hell they are? And then Air Force, I think that was the only thing that I was kind of like, they had a good presentation. But that was the only thing I was like, maybe I might do Air Force. But then what sold me over when I went back to the Marine Corps recruiter, he was just like, look, like, you could do the Air Force, but listen to this. He's like, there's no reason why you came here twice. He's like, you came to us twice. And I know, like, you have a real big interest with the Marine. And I was like, yeah, I do. It's just, it's just like, for some reason, it's just calming. And I just like everything. You guys are just, tough. And, I just love like the presentation that they represented. And, he's like, here's the deal. He's like, let's say you did Air Force first. If you did it, and let's say you didn't like it, and then you want to come to us, you have to do boot camp all over again. And you start at rank 0. Like, you start all, like, your rank doesn't mean shit. He's like, you actually lose rank if you join the Marine Corps. He's like, if you work with the Marine Corps first, and then let's say you don't like it, you can go into the Air Force and you actually get promoted, because they're like, our rank structure is a lot stronger compared to the other branches. So he's like, and they know, like, and he's like, you never have to do boot camp again. He's like, if you go the other route, like Air Force and then to us, or Navy to us, like any other branch, and you come to Marines, like, you have to do boot camp again, and you have to do all that shit. And he's like, so if I was you, like, you already like it, you're coming to us twice already. You already said, like, there's a lot of things you like about the Marine Corps. Like, why won't you just try us out? And then if you become a Marine, do 4 years. And then if you like it, you can stay. If you don't, you can leave. And he's like, you can leave the military overall, or you can join another branch and actually get promoted, and, don't have to go through boot camp again. He's like, trust me, that's one last thing you don't want to do, especially for someone who's been in. And so that was the route I did. I went through the Marines, did 4 years fully active, deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 and 4, got out, and then I actually joined the Navy Reserve. So I switched over, did that for another 4 years. And exactly what he said, he's right. You don't have to do boot camp. I kept rank, which was great. And then I also got a bonus as well, doing the Navy Reserves. And then from there, then I got out and then, started doing entrepreneurship and worked for other jobs. And now I'm here, to make a long story short.
So, again, I like to hear, people's reasons for why they became vegan. So for you, when was that? And then why was that?
When I think it was like 2011 or 2012, somewhere around those 2 years, when I actually went vegan. But I remember I was still in the Navy Reserves at the time, and I was going to school at the time as well, full time in school, and I was in public speaking, and we were learning about persuasive speaking at the time, and they brought in Gary Yourofsky, who is like a vegan activist. And if you never heard about this guy, just Google him. You'll find him on YouTube. It's called The Best Speech Ever. I highly recommend any vegan or non-vegan who's listening to watch it. It's a really good speech. But he actually did that same exact speech that's on YouTube in my classroom live. And when I heard it, it definitely got my attention because it was something I never heard in my life. Because he talked on topics about health, nutrition, animal ethics, and medical reasons why you should go vegan. And I never heard anything about that. Right? And I never really took the time to think about the ethical issues when it came down to animals and what they actually went through when it came to consuming meat. And I actually had an image in my mind, which he actually pointed out to a lot of people, where we kind of turn a blind eye when it comes to commodities of what we eat. And people still do it to this day. And you can see it boils down all the way down to the advertising of how they promote meat. They'll show like cartoon characters or, a cow in a nice picket green, barn, like a red barn, and the green grass, and the cows look all natural, and and this is what they instill in people's mind. And I see it now, even when some of the things that I post, because people get triggered. Like you don't really see, and this is just from my experience, like you don't see vegans really going on people who promotes meat, like going crazy on their social media page. It's mostly just a bunch of meat eaters just praising each other, or you could call it, I don't know what age this is, but circle jerking each other in the page. They're just like hearing what they want to hear. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of disgusting. It's ridiculous. Like that's what I like to say. It's like, they're just all like pleasing each other from listening to the things that they want to hear. And I feel like it's getting more toxic, because some of the stuff I'm hearing is it's like so ridiculous, like spinach is bad for you. Like, I'm like, oats are bad I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is getting crazy. But going back to my story, with me, when he talked about these issues, again, I never thought about it. And I was like, you know what? It can't hurt to try, to try it out. Like eating more vegetables, eating more fruits, eating things that's more whole food, plant-based. What I have to lose, what I'm saying? It can't be that bad. And I had the same question that most people had a question about, because I felt bad. And I was like, yeah, like these animals shouldn't be treated this way. Like that's horrible. And listen, and this is a guy who been in the military, been through war. And I think that's why it was easier for me to have an open mind about it, because I don't look at food I never looked at food as pleasure. It was always like fuel. Like, yeah, I have my favorite treats and stuff, but I don't have like this crazy emotional, I never had this crazy emotional attachment to food, So I was always trying to find the best foods to optimize my body. You know what I mean? So when it came down to that, I was like, yeah, that's pretty messed up that these animals go through that. if I could do it plant-based, like, let's check it out. My question was to Gary was like, where can you get the protein? I mean, because, you know, I work out. I want to make sure, like, you know, I'm still building muscle. I could still like work out and train and stuff. And he was like, oh, there's plenty of protein. Just email me, whatever. But he never emailed me back. When I sent out an email, he never emailed me back. But it didn't stop me from my journey. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a good catapult. I started doing my own research, and during this time, Google and research and social media wasn't like at its prime. So I wasn't getting like distracted by bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like you could really do your own intensive research and find out the truth yourself. And that's what I did. I just started a plant-based diet. First I went pescatarian. That's what I actually did. While I was pescatarian, and I was at school at the same time. I changed my major because at the time I was like criminal justice. I changed it to exercise science and physiology. Started taking nutritional courses so I can become a nutritionist as well. And once I started learning all about nutrition, even in nutrition classes, they were showing like documented. The first one I ever watched was Forks Over Knives. And that was in one of the nutritional classes I was in. And I'm just like, hey, it must be a sign. You know, we kind of like, you know, they're showing Forks Over Knives and talking about plant-based and all this stuff. So I was like, let me go deeper. And the deeper I went, I remember going back to Robert Sheep. That was the first book I bought was from him of vegan bodybuilding and fitness. I started reading his stuff, and I was like, oh snap! Like he's giving me some good ideas, because I'm like, yeah, he's actually doing bodybuilding shows. I wasn't even doing bodybuilding shows, and I was like, man, like these are some good tips. Like when it comes down to food, and then learning the nutritional education, I decided to do bodybuilding as well. Now, I think with everything that was going on, because you kind of tell, like, I did a lot of things all at once. You know, I changed my major. I started taking nutritional courses. I started following Robert Sheik and joining the Facebook group and reading his book. I started doing bodybuilding as well. Like, that's what literally happened. Like, it was just because I was so obsessed to figure out, like, how to do this right. Once I started learning more about plant-based foods and where you get protein and really understanding the nutritional science of foods, like, all right, you know, bell peppers is a great source of vitamin C, like really, really understanding everything, especially with the bodybuilding. Bodybuilding really helped a lot too, because they take nutrition and they're putting it into like a more of a macro-based style where you can actually manipulate your body to be able to preserve muscle mass and lose fat in a competitive way. Like, so you're really learning like how to use this in real action, especially when it comes to performance and aesthetics. So I think that even helped with all the knowledge I was learning, because I could actually put it into tests. It's not like I'm just learning about plant-based foods and I'm just saying like going like, you know, I don't want to try to put down other people. Some dietitians and nutritionists out there now who's vegan, they'll just be like, yeah, just eat whatever you want. Whole foods plant. You can eat all the plants you want. You never get fat. And that's not true. You know, it's like calories are calories. If you could eat too much of a good thing and still get fat. You're just eating healthy foods. That's the only thing, you know? It's like, but like it's calories in, calories out. Law of thermogenesis. So, like you can't really defeat that. It doesn't matter if you're eating healthy or not. Eating too many calories, you still get fat, right? But that's the thing that I learned through sport nutrition is like, you know, you have the quality over quantity, but at the same time, you know, depending on how many calories you're eating will also determine how you will look aesthetically, you know? So, you know, just taking all that in, that's what really catapulted me into like 100% plant-based. Because once I figured everything out, then I just started applying it. And then once I started applying it and seeing how well it worked for me, that's when I started really putting in for other people, because I'm like, hey, like I'm winning shows, like I'm looking great, I'm feeling great. Yeah, because when I first went vegan, I did lose muscle mass. I got really skinny, you know, so, you know, that happened, but that's because I was doing what most people do, just eating more vegetables, more rice and beans, and that's it. I wasn't really doing like tofu that much. I mean, I had my fish, but I wasn't even counting anything. I wasn't tracking anything. I never did. So how would I know what was right, what was wrong? And, fast forward, now I'm like, I have my own business. I'm helping people, so transforming them, working with athletes, you know what I mean? So it just kind of like, I mean, that's how it all started though. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's amazing. Now, you've done a lot of informative videos, which have helped a lot of people, see that they can meet their RDAs, get enough protein, and still eat very healthy and tasty substitutes on a vegan diet. Now, do you ever have the experience with potential clients who still have a hard time trusting that they can meet their goals on a vegan diet?
No, because the people that I attract is people that wants to transition or they're already vegan. So I don't really have that type of issue with people who's having a hard time, because that's not the people I'm trying to attract. People really want to transition or they have to, because of their health. So the why is very strong with the people that I attract, not people who's like kind of on a whim.
Now, to this point, you've helped many clients, reach their goals. And guys, you can obviously go to his Instagram page. I think it's buddyhd_fitness. That they can go and see
that's the business one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys can see those transformations there. So to this point, do you know how many clients you've helped at this moment?
It's been over 12 years. I would say it's definitely in the thousands for sure.
Oh, wow.
Just because I'm not including, I'm including everything, like everyone who I trained in my lifetime. So from when I started all the way till now. So, I would definitely say in the thousands, but with Body HD Fitness, probably like in the hundreds, you know what I mean? But definitely lifetime in the fitness industry, thousands for sure.
Now, last week, we spoke to Robert Sheik, and he's a friend of yours, and we've seen his success as a vegan bodybuilder, your success, Nima Delgado, Tori Washington, Simone Collins, the list goes on. Is it time for the conversation to die that vegans can't build muscle, on a vegan diet?
Is it ready? No, because there's not enough vegans to prove that, some of the names you listed, I mean, that's pretty, and it's only a few more, it's not that many. So I think that's why, the conversation shouldn't end, because, you need more people to, actually prove that. And if you kind of think about the vegan community, to be real, not everyone is athletes in the vegan community. Some people are just in it for ethics, so you have a lot of animal activists who's just doing it for ethical reasons. And some of them don't give two shits about their health. They care about animals more than their health. Then you also have, hippie vegans, they're just hippie as hell, and they're not really focused on their physical fitness. And it's not, and it might sound like I'm just bashing people, but it's just true. You know what I'm saying? Because I've speaking to them, and I'm talking through my own experience, through business. You see it, you speak to people, and you'll see certain people who would put animal over themselves. Sometimes I get even comments on my page, about things that's just kind of ridiculous, just because they're putting, I remember when I first started, I don't get it anymore, but I remember when I first started, people were like, oh, you're just in it for the money. You don't care about animals. So I'm like, first of all, it's a business. Number one. Number two, I am in it for the money. I want to be very honest for you, because I need to live and eat. But at the same time, this does help other people, because just because I'm not holding a sign up about and screaming my lungs out about a whale or an animal doesn't mean that I'm not putting my way in when it comes to activism. It's just different. And if you live in a real world, the real world is that people care about themselves more than the animal. So my position is that I help people with knowing that they can be healthy on a plant-based diet. And then I teach them more about the ethical part. And if you see my page, like, I'm one of the few trainers that even talk about animals. I still go out to a sanctuary, talk about animals, or, work for nonprofits and stuff like that, but not just because I'm not posting it doesn't mean that I'm not doing it. Like, there's a lot of things I do that I don't post. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's necessary. But like, I don't need people's, I don't need their gratifications or things like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need their acceptance. But the thing is that, I do it. I have my place of how I can help, because you can be screaming and another thing, nobody's going to come in my face and like push me if I'm talking about animal, like just saying like, oh, you can't eat meat, and push me. Like, 'cause you see some of that shit too, right? And I've been to some of these rallies, like, people be literally standing in front of an abattoir, and the dude wants to hit the people with a truck. Like, that's not happening, man. And I think that's why certain people could do that and get mistreated, and certain people just don't do it, because I can't do it. Because you're not doing that shit to me, especially in my face. You know what I'm saying? I will fuck you up. So it's like, so the thing is, like, that's not happening. So that's why I do what I do. Just help people with their health. Help them learn how to exercise. And if they see the benefits of living a plant-based lifestyle and how healthy it is, then they can also transition easier for animals. It's easier to show them, like, oh, look what else you're doing. You're helping the environment, also helping the animals. And that's what I teach in my services. It's not just purely health and fitness and that's it. It's not so cold. Like, when you're in my classes and stuff, I do expose that. And like I said, I do it in my content, but it's not a heavily focused topic. You know what I mean?
And so I know, you're the author of a couple of books, and one of them that I guess, well, I've seen 4. I don't know if there are more, but the first that I've seen was the Macro Mastery, 70 plus fast meal prep hacks that vegan athletes actually crave.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, what was the motivation behind that book? And I guess go into the motivation behind that book, and what was the response to the book
For Macro Mastery?
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of Macro Mastery is just because one of the burning problems that a lot of vegans, even non-vegans, have is they don't know how to make macro-friendly foods. Because they're, again, going back to what I said before, you have people out there just and I kind of understand where they're coming from, but they'll go out there and say, like, you can eat whatever you want on Whole Foods plant-based diet, eat the rainbow, and it's just the information that they're giving is very vague. And I understand when you're talking to a large audience, the information is sometimes it's good to be vague, because you're just trying to make it easier for that person to just start. And I think it's a good prime for someone to start. But when it comes to people, they kind of think it's just easy. You know what I'm saying? And then what happens, you get a lot of kickback. Like, people fall off, because you have to remember, like, a macronutrient is the largest nutrient. There are larger nutrients that's vital for the body to function, right? So this is your protein, carbs, and fat. And you're talking to people who's probably consuming on average like 100 to 150 grams of protein a day, regardless if they're working out or not. And then you strip that, and then you have them eating rice and beans, and telling them, like, yeah, beans and rice, if you combine it together, complete protein. It has all the 9 essential amino acids, and you get a lot of your protein from there. And do hemp seeds, you get a lot of protein from there. And what ends up happening is that from a certain point, yeah, there's protein in it, but it's not a vital source protein because there's more like rice and beans, they're starches, so it's more of a carb than a protein source. Hemp seeds is a seed. It's more of a fat source versus a protein source, even though it has a lot of protein, has also just an amount of high fat in it as well. So what usually happens is people get malnourished. People start losing muscle. Even the newest documentary that came out, I wasn't even happy about that. Like, I think it was kind of bullshit with the studies. Like the studies they show, like, yeah, like there was some visceral fat, there were some health benefits, but if you really pay attention to the studies and to the results, what I saw, I don't know if you saw the same thing I saw from the that Netflix series, You Are What You Eat, the twin thing. A lot of vegans lost a lot of muscle. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I noticed. And I know it had nothing to do with like the coaches that was there, like with Nima and Bianca, because from what I've heard, they said like they gave them trifecta meals, so it was very controlled. And me being a nutritionist, it's like trifecta meals for vegans is shit. It's all high carb, low protein stuff. Why didn't they do the study with like giving them full control to make a macro based meal, and then maybe even finding like a carnivore guy who knows how to make macro based meals and then match it up like that? Because obviously the people who was eating meat built more muscle. That's what I saw. Like I saw the health benefits of the vegan stuff that they showed, but when it comes to aesthetics, it was like, the vegans sucked. Like the meat eaters got better. And then another thing I saw was like the ones that got somewhat good results, some of them were like all hippy dippy. Like it's like the two twin brothers, that made the cheese. Like the dude who went vegan, now he's doing push-ups with his daughter while the other guy's freaking hitting the gym, hitting iron. I'm like, what the hell's up with that? Like it's like, and then the two Asians, I think they were Asian or something, like one of them was doing walks while the other one was in the gym. I'm like, what's up with that? Like I felt like, I'm like, what? They went plant-based and they just all went like hippy-dippy, like, oh, nature, I need to be up. I'm like, what's going on? But the case that going back to the question is, this is one of the reasons why I made the book, because this is what happens. Like a lot of vegan foods, if you don't have the knowledge, are very high in carbs and fat, and they're very low in protein. And if your goal is to build muscle, right? Or if you're trying to lose fat and trying to maintain the muscle that you have, you need to have an adequate amount of protein. And so in that cookbook, it's all macro friendly, it's balanced out. They're yummy meals. I also make sure that they're nutrient dense. So you're getting a lot of fiber, you're getting a lot of micronutrients as well, because people don't understand that part either. And that's the most important part, is like when you're plant-based and going vegan, you can't just eat till you're full. Right. That's not, or just eat what you want, because some people don't know how to eat appropriately. So they can eat what they want, but they're eating romaine lettuce and shit and carrots, which is like, there's nutrients in it, but it's probably not the best nutrients that you can get from a plant-based food source. Like if I'm going to eat a salad, I would do like avocado, kale, purple cabbage, like some hemp seeds. Like I'll make it like very nutrient dense, very powerful. And then you have to understand the volume. You have to eat a lot more. So to get those nutrients, because they're not calorically dense foods. And so you have to eat a lot to gain all the nutrients from it. So this is another reason why. So that's the whole point of that book, it's nutrient dense, high in fiber, macro friendly, balancing macros, high protein, things like that.
Yeah. And I think that's really vital, because I've often said that I think that, becoming vegan kind of comes with a bit of a learning curve, right?
Big learning curve. It's really big.
Yeah. Because it's just like when you approach it and you try to go into it, and you want to get the best or most out of it, you may not, because, you may not realize where you're missing certain nutrients. And I think this is probably where I think the vegan diet kind of loses a stronghold for a lot of people, because it's just like, well, how am I going to get this? How am I going to get that? And then most vegans are actually not able to say, well, this is where I get this. This is where I get that. They'll probably surmise where they think they're getting certain nutrients from. But for the most part, a lot of vegans don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have that book. And then you go on to write, No Weak Vegans, 24 things every new vegan needs to get lean. Every new vegan needs to get lean and strong.
For that book is basically because, people think vegans are weak, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because like you can't get protein, all that good jazz. So the whole point of that book is, and it's a short read. It's nothing that intense like the Macro Mastery, because Macro Mastery is on another level. It's like, it has like 70 different recipes. It's all macro friendly. It even shows you how to make your own meal plan. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very powerful book. But the No Wheat Vegans is just like it's pretty much just a starter guide. That's all that is. So it just shows you like where you can get your appropriate protein from, because again, that's some of the burning questions that most people who's transitioning or interested in going vegan, that's the question they're asking. And pretty much I just kind of show like some of the things that you should have if you're going plant-based, if you're going to start working out, things like that, because it gives out some supplement recommendations. Also, because some people don't even know that, like what supplements are vegan, what's not, so it does give some supplement recommendations, even like kitchen equipment, because some people don't know how to cook. And it's like, if you're trying to work out and trying to, go this route in the plant-based, like these are some of the things that you should have in your kitchen. Like you should have a Vitamix. You should use like iron or steel appliances when it comes to cookingware. Just certain things like that I show in that book. But it's pretty much just a starter guide. Shows some testimonials of people that worked with me, and then also gives out like some information if someone wants to go ahead and sub that appointment to work with me or have a free consultation. Yeah.
And we probably don't have time to get into it, but you guys should definitely check out his other books, 7 Steps to Build a Lean Vegan Muscle and 7 Steps to Becoming a Ripped Vegan. Now, I want to get into your experience with Veganville that was produced by the BBC. Can you share your experience, shooting Veganville?
Yeah. I mean, Veganville was very fun. It was on BBC 1 and 3 for during COVID. Actually, I think it came out during the COVID time, and it was a good experience because it was like a 3-part documentary / reality show, and we went to the UK, located in Cardiff, and Cardiff is like a farm town, right? So we went out there to try to convince the whole town of Cardiff to go vegan, right? Which was crazy. And there were some key players like Joey Carbstrong was in it, Danny Shepard, I forgot the other 2 girls' names, but it was just like it was like 5 of us, and then we went out doing different things. Like we all had like different tasks, and it has like that real world vibe because they give you like little missions and stuff. So they give us like little missions where we had to set up, like one was going to school, and there was even scenes that wasn't even put into real production, but we did a lot of stuff within 3 weeks being out there. Like it was like going to the school, doing a presentation, going in the middle of the town square, setting up a booth and giving people like vegan hot dogs. And we had like a whole activist campaign going on. Like we had this like, and this is fake, but we had like a fake dog in an actual grill, and we put like fake blood on it, and then it was like turning like, so it's supposed to be like we're grilling the dog or something, like a hot dog, and we had posters saying like, why would you love one but eat the other? And it was like a dog versus the pig. And people were actually like getting like really upset by seeing the dog, and like it was fake, and people were like, my daughter, yeah, people were actually getting triggered by this. And it was funny because I'm like, it's a stuffed animal, number one. Number two, it's like like what would you do as a Halloween, man? Like, like are you like, some people just want to argue about shit, but it was a good campaign because overall it was a good campaign because a lot of people were trying out the vegan dogs, a lot of conversations, a lot of people were agreeing to try veganism for like a day or a week and stuff like that. So we had them sign pledges, but we went all over the town just doing small little missions and things like that, and it was just a good experience overall. Like the main thing that they showed in the show with me was, talking to like another competitor. He was like a bodybuilder competitor who ate meat and stuff like that. But unfortunately, he didn't go vegan. But like everything, if you watch the show, everything showed that he should, just because like he said he has a lot of, and what they didn't, they didn't show this in the show. But when I was talking to him and his wife was crying because the speech that I gave him was deep and it was heavy because he was saying like he has, people in his family with heart disease and colon cancer and all this stuff. And I was like, and you're a bodybuilder, bro, and you're eating more meat? Like, this isn't good, man. I was like, just because you look good, like, it's not good. Like, you're just eating more of what's creating the same causes. And this guy was eating like the basic bodybuilding diet, like tilapia, rice and broccoli, chicken and broccoli, steak and broccoli, just the basic bodybuilding meal, which is like, it's not healthy. Like, you're not getting tons of vitamins and minerals. There's a lot of other key ingredients that's missing from broccoli if you're just eating that alone. Like, it's healthy, but you're not getting all the essential vitamins and minerals just from that. So it's like it's crazy. It's only so much fiber you can get from rice and broccoli. You know what I mean? So, and you could tell, like, sadly to say, I could tell like from his skin, like his skin didn't look clear. It's like, I don't know. I think I think that's another topic, but like sometimes you can tell when someone's healthy just from their skin, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Well, guys, unfortunately, we're out of time, but I definitely want to thank Korin for coming out and sharing his experience, sharing his work. We usually give this time for the guests to share what they have coming up next, and also their socials, so where you can find them. So Korin, you can go ahead and let us know what you have going on next, and give the audience your socials.
Yeah, so the only thing I have coming up next right now is I'm actually working on another cookbook. I don't have a name for it yet, but I am creating like a lot more, or I'm creating new recipes as I speak. So if you're checking out my channel at Korin Sutton on all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, all of them, LinkedIn, all of them, I'm on all of them. You'll start seeing more recipes, you know what I'm saying? So definitely check that out.
And I guess we can also add Body HD Fitness in there as well, so people can check out those transformations as well.
Yeah, check out Body HD Fitness. You can go to the website, bodyhdfitness.com, or email me at korinSutton@bodyhdfitness.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, Korin. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Again, this is the I Choose Health podcast. Again, we always want to make the appeal to you to make the choice to be healthy, make the choice to be you. So hopefully you guys had a great one. Hope you guys learned a lot from this series. And I hope no one takes away from it that, this is just a vegan series, but this podcast is called I Choose Health, that, really focus on helping people, give them the information so that they can go away and make healthier choices.